as our Olympic Committee, the truth is there are rules for these things. You qualify for events. You can only be disqualified for using performance-enhancing drugs, or if you did not make it, you did not make the requirements. But if you qualify, I don't think any country who is a host nation. A host nation only means you have been put in charge of managing infrastructure for an event. The rights to that event still belong to either FIFA, the Olympic Committee, or whichever body regulates those sporting competitions worldwide. So I think Nigeria at this point, we should not be dilly-dallying. We should be seeking redress. Things have been done wrong. One, there is no right, nobody has a right to disqualify any athlete from any sport, whether it's contact or anything, except there is a directive given beforehand by the International Olympic Committee that this must happen. I don't have any recollection of that happening. Secondly, the fact that you get there and the Chinese government decides to quarantine, they are not the WHO, they are not the people managing the health and fitness of the athletes, they are not an international disease control agency, they are the Chinese government. The truth is you have a games village isolated from your country, it's where the athletes are. If you're going to quarantine, if you're going to do anything, then you have to make it a blanket thing, send notice beforehand. You don't just let people get there and you pull them out. Nigeria should be seeking redress on many fronts. We should not be afraid to step out and, write straight to these Olympic committees, because rules have been breached, we've been infringed on, our rights have been infringed on, and we can't sit back and take it quietly because we're trying to be the nice guys in the world. No, we can't. At this point in time, we should already have strong worded letters going out already, making our stance known, boycotting different things, and even trying to gather some sort of West African coalition to say, if this is how it's going to be, let's even try and get a blanket coalition and let us as a continent boycott events if we're going to be stigmatized like this. These are the things I expect to see put in motion, not for us to be being very tender-footed and dilly-dallying on the matter. That can't happen right now.
Yes, so I'm on it.
Yeah, because I was wondering, when we pulled out from some of those sports, when they didn't have the backing of WHO or IOC to restrict us from those sports. So how did we handle that?
No, the issue here is this. I had Nnamdi talking just now. There is some information which probably he is not aware, and that's the fact that what organization was involved in this whole matter. And then I think the advice has been that contacts should be, for now, out of the whole matter. The IOC is also in tune with that the contacts were already out. The country cannot stop us from taking part in the games. I hope you understand that. It is not China that should not take part in the games. It is just the circumstances that on ground that we have to withdraw our athletes from these games. Obviously, we know these rules. We know what is going on. And sports is something where you have to really go by the rules, walk by the rules, do the timing by the rules. But I think nobody is out here to destroy sports or destroy our youth. That's a very, very key factor. And that's the first step we are taking. We are in tune with the IOC. We are in contact with them. They are listening to us. We have explained as well to us. And they've been very sympathetic with the whole matter. But the issue now again is, I haven't talked about the issue of pollution. Well, that's a different thing entirely, which is a little bit outside us. We as an NOC here cannot form any coalition with any other country. But maybe as a government, we can as well talk about that from a better diplomatic level. Then we can take it on from there. But sincerely, what we've done so far is to express our mind to the Chinese authorities and the organizers in particular, sorry, the organizers in particular, about what will happen and what we do not like about this whole scenario. I think if this issue continues this way, then we may have to go that other way of solution. And then we deal with this issue. Otherwise, sports will be destroyed in the areas so-called under threat.
Because, there are people who are just wondering whether the NOC will act immediately rather than wait for it to even go a little further, because from the trend, it looks as if it will continue, especially when we haven't said anything when it happened to China, because now Congo, where they even had this Ebola virus, are asking Nigerians not to even show up. So is the NOC going to advise government, and when, on this matter, and what to do?
Of course, the athletes are coming in today. We will have on the spot report, which will be passed on to government to look at sincerely. Government was part of this decision, and we are not safe for withdrawal. So we will not, as a committee, an NOC committee, take a decision alone. We will get the report, the comprehensive report, within the next 48 hours. We get the comprehensive report to government, and then let us see how we take it up from there. We are not exactly pleased, but we need to save our athletes. That's the first thing we do.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tunde Popola, Secretary General of Nigeria Olympic Committee. Well,
thank you.
All right. So, because even, yeah, go ahead.
It's you know, the truth is, the IOC, WHO, all these people, let's call a spade a spade. Being treated as an afterthought is not very nice. You know, if we're to put this in black and white, was it long before? Was fair notice given? To come later and say, oh, we know about it, oh, don't be annoyed. You mentioned something, escalation. What happens to Nigerian players who come for national assignments? They will not be allowed back to their clubs because there's Ebola threats in their country. You will start having things like this happening.
That's a wider implication.
Yeah, and it will keep getting worse and worse and worse if something is not done about it now. Two things have to be done. Proactive stance on managing it from sports, like I mentioned, maybe an external camp for athletes. Or secondly, some very, very harsh diplomatic actions. We need to take a stand because the truth is everybody will try and push you as far as they can and see how far you go. And if we're going to keep looking, we'll keep getting pushed. That's just the truth of the matter right now.
Because this didn't even emanate from Nigeria.
No,
it was an imported case, a Liberian American who came into this country, and from the reports we get, people are even saying this looked as though it was deliberate. And then
the international bodies are speaking with two sides of their mouth. On one side, they're congratulating state and federal governments on how well they've managed it, how well they have set up isolation wards, how well they've done this. And then the same bodies are going ahead to say, athletes should be quarantined here, athletes should be banned. So what message are they sending exactly? That's what I don't get here.
To the extent that Congo says Nigeria.
Kenya giving us ultimate 30-day quarantine in Kenya that we can't go in. The incubation period is not 30 days. So what is their point exactly? These are the things we need to look at. And I wanted to mention something. They said contact and post-sports. This thing is, you have to be ill already, critically ill, for somebody to contact it from you. I don't think someone who's critically ill can be strong enough or fit enough to even kit up and step out for a wrestling match or even do the warm-up laps in a pool before a swimming event. So why are we not being very frank and straightforward with ourselves?
They have doctors within the Games Village too.
Oh, yeah.
But let's look at the implication of this blanket ban, so to speak, on Nigerian athletes. We have games in football, for instance. We have the Nations Cup qualifiers. We have the 20 World Cup and all of that coming up, qualifiers and everything. How would this affect our games? We have Rwanda is not.
Rwanda has been replaced by Congo.
Okay.
What will happen is you start having people requesting for neutral venues. You start having things that will cause delays and all that. People looking for walkovers of all sorts. A lot of administrative bottlenecks and problems. A neutral venue might be decided and they'll pull out at the last minute. All sorts of things will happen because you are no longer in total control of your own arrangements. And let's face fact, even when Nigeria is in total control, it's never too far from shambolic. So imagine now that we're not in full control. These are the wider implications of these things. And it's not just football. There are so many sports. What of our officials now, in FIBA officials, the basketball officials who are doing so well now? We've been having issues getting Nigerian referees out there. But our other sports referees are being respected. Table tennis, basketball. These guys now will suffer the implications of these things. They cannot move out. Our table tennis players, the Quadri and Co. in Portugal, we have Nigerians everywhere. What of our college athletes who will come home for Christmas and be told they can't come back to their schools where they're on scholarship because of Ebola? It will take it will become very ridiculous. Like he mentioned something, the point athletes saying Ebola athletes. The foreign governments are not even doing enough to educate people that, look, it's not just because someone is from this country that they can have it. And he also mentioned the avian flu correctly. There's also swine flu. They've had all sorts of things.
And Chinatown still operates. They were coming in.
Nobody placed a blanket ban on them. I think it's like my parents would say, what you call yourself, people call you. We have not stepped up to the plate and we've allowed them to do this to us.
You know, because, I mean, the Minister of Health at that time held a meeting with the ambassadors, high commissioners who were in this country and briefed them. So maybe even now that one of the doctors who was infected with this has been discharged.
Yeah.
Now we're making progress rapidly on this matter. The Lagos State government, the federal government, they've all approached this thing headlong. Yeah. And so it's all the more important why Nigerian government should issue that statement, you think?
We need to get bolder. I mean, it's very rare we see the federal and state governments work in sync. No partisan problems, anything. What you have is a very, very good structure that has been managing the Ebola virus. Why is it that we can't now still do the same thing, come together and just approach all these international organizations and boycott as a continent? Boycott. That's what I'm suggesting.
What would you say about the NFF issues? Very quickly.
Megari is back. He met with the Minister of Sports, Danagogo, who Mike Ume said he was in Rivers to avoid meeting them. He will be led by a contingent of state FA chairmen to regain his throne. The resignation letter is missing. FIFA's letter will not be listened to, according to Ume. It's a script for a beautiful Hollywood blockbuster. We're waiting to see the fireworks ignite, because Megari says he'll resume office. Ume says he's not resuming office. The state FA chairmen say they are loyal to Megari. They're going to show how popular he is, along with 6 of the NFF members, while 7 are saying they will stand their ground. Expect some fireworks later on today.
Where's Austin? He's got to be somewhere on standby for that sports. All right, thank you, Nnamdi, for coming on this morning. We'll be back after this. Join us again.